Chapter 6. Zhang Shulin waited in the mountain for a bitterly long 3 days and nights. His eyes were hollowed out. His 2 dark eye circles were very obvious. On the 4th day, he really couldn't endure it any longer. He grabbed a machete to go down the mountain, but was firmly dissuaded by the Zhang family. "Landlord, you have a lot of staff. Can you send a few people to help find Little Black? Someday I'll definitely do my best to repay this kindness." Zhang Jiarui walked up to Zhou Yunsheng and bowed politely. He had been extremely clever since childhood. He was only 15 years old, but had already passed the county-level imperial exam. He had self-proclaimed superb abilities. He was confident that he would become famous one day. So although he was asking for a favor, his attitude wasn't very humble. Moreover, because of the series of misunderstandings, he felt that he'd lost a lot of face, so he had it very difficult to get rid of grudge against Zhu Ziyu. Not only had his previous malice not decreased, he secretly viewed Zhu Ziyu as a sworn enemy, so he got off a honeyed words a sword in the belly. So he gave off honeyed words a sword in the belly feel. Jin Sheng usually wouldn't bother acknowledging such a person, but if he allowed Zhang Shulin to set off down the mountain to find him alone, like in the original plot, he would certainly get himself lost in the mountains, then have a long-awaited reunion with the showhound loyal dog Gong. Then, like dry firewood next to a fire, the desire would ignite fiercely, and they'll spend the night in a random cave. The loyal Dogong was deeply moved by his act of ignoring his own safety to go down the mountain to look for him. After that, he devoted himself to Zhang Shulin and obeyed his every word, becoming just like a hand-packed husband. Zhou Yunsheng had no intention of breaking them up, but he didn't want their feelings to become more stable either. After thinking a bit, he agreed to the request. This was also an opportunity to ingrate himself to the loyal dog Gong. He took several guards and used the cover of night to hurry down the mountain. The mountain road was rugged. There were thistles and thorns covering the whole area, so it was not long before his hair and clothes were disheveled. Forget about his elegant, noble image. The night road was difficult to navigate. Since they had no torches for fear of attracting bandits, they had no choice but to travel by weak moonlight. Even if Zhou Yunsheng was very physically fit, he hadn't reached the point of gaining night vision, so he tumbled down the mountain after accidentally stepping on a smooth, loose stone. The guards desperately chased after him while cautiously shouting, "Young master!" Chinse was walking through the forest when he saw a figure leaping towards him. He reflexively stretched out his arm to catch it. The moon shone through the gaps in the branches to reveal a face as beautiful as the jade ornament of a cap. "Ziyu?" He was startled, but also pleasantly surprised. His heart kicked into overdrive. The arm that was already wrapped around the other man's waist tightened even more. He asked breathlessly, "How did you get here?" "Oh, it's you." Jin Sheng's head was spinning. After he slowly gathered his wits with great difficulty, he found himself in the loyal dog Gong's embrace. He pushed against the other man's broad chest and said, "You didn't return for a long time, so I took some guards down the mountain to find you." "I'm fine." Chinse's thin lips rose imperceptibly. He helped stand the young man up, then looked him up and down. "Were you hurt anywhere?" "My ankle is sprained." Zhu Yunsheng moved his ankle, then sucked in a breath of cold air. At that moment, the guards finally caught up and surrounded him in non-stop questions of concern. Chinse was squeezed out from the crowd. His mood, that was still floating in the clouds just a moment ago, crashed down. "I'll carry Zhu Gongji back. I'm a countryman. I'm more used to the mountain roads. I'll be more sure-footed than you guys. Chinsei, who had already recovered his memory, boasted shamelessly. The guards were also worried about not being able to carry the young master well and dropping him again, so they helped hoist him onto his back. The Zhang family were overjoyed to see Shu Ziyu come back with Little Black after leaving less than 2 hours ago. Brother Little Black, where have you been these past few days? Zhang Shulin threw himself into Chinsei's arms, making him stagger, almost dropping the man on his back. When he had amnesia, Chinsei felt that Zhang Shulin was very gentle and good at managing the household, so it wouldn't be bad to spend a lifetime with him. But now, for no reason at all, he felt annoyed and even felt somewhat inexplicably guilty. He always had a poker face, and his mood was never shown easily. He simply made up a story about dodging roving bandits, then sent Zhang Shulin away, carefully placing Shu Ziyu onto a soft haystack. Where's the sprain? I'll take a look. He sat next to the young man and took off his shoe without further words. Lu Shi and Tweety wanted to stop him, but it was already too late. Unable to reveal their young master's identity, they could only glare at him with fierce eyes. However, Jinsei was so absorbed in checking the youth's injuries that he didn't even notice. Can't you be a gentler? After he quit being the villain, Zhou Sheng hadn't been injured in a long time, so at this time, a mere sprained ankle felt unbearably painful. Chinsei stared blankly at the foot placed in his palm, slightly stunned. He'd never seen such a lustrous, white-like jade and gracefully shaped foot before. The 5 light pink, smooth and round toes, which were trembling and curled up because of the pain, looked so lovely. He gulped while imagining what it would be like to suck and lick each one of the toes. He earnestly applied pressure with an expressionless face. It looks like the bone isn't broken. Apply some medicine to melt away the swelling, then rest properly for 2 or 3 days and you'll be fine. He fished out a small medicine bottle from his bosom. He applied the fragrant ointment to the swollen area, pressing and rubbing. Zhu Sheng clenched his teeth and endured, but because it was too painful, his eyes were filled with reflexive tears. His dark pupils were soaked in clear tears, becoming more and more soul-stirring. Chinsei quickly glanced at him, baring his teeth as he lowered his head. He really wanted to eat this man. He'd surely be delicious. In order to express their concern, everyone gathered around to look at the injury, so the foot was exposed to everyone's gaze. Chinsei was very irritated at this, so he involuntarily sped up his movements, only waiting for the ointment to penetrate in before helping the young man put on his sock and boot. Afterwards, he said in a flat tone, "All right, this injury should not hinder you too much. Keep this medical cream. It might be useful someday." Ren Sheng took the bottle and sniffed it briefly. Then he snorted out a laugh. "Zijin Chuyu cream. 20 silver taels per bottle. Such a good medicine. Where'd you get it?" Chinsei's expressionless face remained unchanged, replying, "I picked it up on the way." He didn't expect the loyal dog Gong to, besides the chow hound attribute, also have the life through one's teeth skill. Zhu Sheng was amused, squinted his eyes as he meaningfully seized up the other man. "I've always been very lucky." Chinsei quickly glanced at him and calmly added, "The Zhang family, except for Zhang Jiarui, all believed him. Since the bandits at the foot of the mountain have been annihilated by the army, when can we go home?" Zhang Shulin calmed his excitement and sat close to Little Black, his face full of anticipation. Chinse finally met with Zhu Siyu with great difficulty. He resented that he couldn't hide him with him in the cave for another 2 weeks. Hearing this question, he furrowed his brows and remained silent for a long while before muttering out, "We can leave tomorrow at dawn." The 2 young sisters of the Zhang family cried out in surprise. The next day at dawn, Chinse seized the task of carrying Zhu Siyu on his back, and the group walked into Zhangjia village, surveying the mess. The door of every household was wide open, the water jars in the yard were all smashed, and the plates and bowls in the kitchen laid in pieces on the ground. The grains and poultry were all gone, and everywhere was littered with broken tiles. "Landlord, what's wrong?" The village head led a group of people over. Although there was grief on his face, there was even more joy for having survived the ordeal. "I twisted my foot on the road. It's not a big deal. How are you guys?" Zhu Sheng patted Chinse's shoulder, indicating that he should let him down. Chinse didn't move a muscle, standing in place like a wooden stake. The village head sighed. "Thanks to the landlord's warning, we survived all right. Fortunately, you made us leave some food behind. Otherwise, our whole village would have suffered a calamity." The neighbors, Zhangdia village, saw us taking refuge in the mountain and also hid in the mountain coal at the back of their village. But they took all the food with them when they hid. Those bandits were so angry when they found nothing, they not only set fire to their village, they also combed the mountains and wantonly murdered anyone they met. What a tragedy! If the army dispatched by the imperial court hadn't arrived in time, I'm afraid not a single villager would have survived. As soon as he finished speaking, the surviving villagers of Zhangjia village had a moment of sobbing, especially the few households who had insisted on running back to get food. Their faces were flushed red like monkey spots. They trekked back to collect all the food and carried it away, but their small lives had actually been saved by the others choosing to abandon their food. After seeing the end of Zhangjia village, they were naturally ashamed to death. Zhu Yunsheng said a few words to the village head, then said his farewells to everyone. When he saw the Zhu family carriage arrive, only then did Chinse carry him to the carriage very slowly. He stared at the carriage until it disappeared at the end of the road, then turned towards Zhang house. "Little Black, quickly come see. Our family's food wasn't found by the bandits." Zhang Shulin smashed the house's brick bed, dragging out several bags of rice from the hole. Chinse sat silently on a stool, quite uninterested. Zhang Jiaru gathered the broken porcelain into a pile, then loaded it into a dustpan while smiling in schadenfreude. "You're quite smart, big brother. You knew we could hide the food in the brick bed. Our house is so shabby looking. The bandits never expected to find anything here, so they left after hurriedly turning it over once. Unlike the Zhu house, with its richly ornamented pavilions, so magnificent, the bandits probably took one look at it and started drooling. I don't know what kind of mess they made out of his house. If they started a fire." "It's not noble to draw pleasure from another's disaster. If not for Zhu Gongji's timely warning, I'm afraid that not even 1 in 10 people in our village would have survived. Yet you don't know how to be grateful." Chinse opened his expression dark. Before he'd left the Zhangjia, he'd felt that Zhang Jiarui was tough and quite talented. He would be able to handle a position of great power. But now, after looking again, he saw his narrow-mindedness and subpar conduct. He was not worth cultivating. Zhang Jiarui was wrangled in by His Majesty. While secretly guessing at his identity, he justified himself. "The Zhu family oppressed the villagers for so many years. I'm only speaking this way because I've held back my grievance for so long. The one who oppressed the villagers was Zhu Gongji's father and his butler. Does that have to do with Zhu Gongji? Jinsei glanced at him with a dull look. He said he'd had nothing to do with it. So he had nothing to do with it? Brother Little Black, you actually believe him? Who doesn't know that Zhu Ziyu is more tyrannical than his father? Before he could finish his sentence, someone outside shouted, Zhu Laoxi has been escorted to the officials by the landlord. He says that he bullied the common people and tyrannized the villagers. This crime is unforgivable. The landlord also moved all the account books to the government office. He's going to confront Zhu Laoxi on the spot. Come on, let's go see. As soon as the thought entered his head, Jinsei got up and went to the government office. Zhang Jiarui, who just spoke so confidently, now looked like he had been ruthlessly slapped several times. His cheeks were very red and stinging faintly.